Good evening, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords, and welcome to the Star Wars Artifact Show. I hope you guys are doing great, because we are pumped. Mando is back. Eric, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Good week. Some new refreshing content finally in the world of Star Wars, and we finally get to have Mando back and take the story further than where we left off. So excited to see
Yeah,
what's to come.
absolutely. We were pumped. Uh, since like for what 2 weeks now, we were getting ready to see the first episodes, and we got lucky.
Yeah,
As we announced to you guys last week, we not only saw episode one, but we also saw episode two. It was late Tuesday, so it
very
was
late.
like around 10:30
It was like
p.m.
I think it was like close to like 11. I think when
Yeah.
that.
First I thought, I'm sure Eric saw it, but it was like, well, maybe he didn't. So I sent you like a
Yeah,
text message saying, "Hey, we got the links."
yeah.
So that was fun, and I almost had given up all hopes that we were going to see something in advance.
Well, the worst part is, I had to go to work the next day. I had to go into the
Yeah.
office, and I figured, well, at this point, I'm not going to see it till later in the evening. And then, lo and behold, it comes in 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, ugh, I can't not watch it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so we got to watch the first two
Episodes.
episodes, and
Yeah, episodes 1 and 2.
yeah, so it's fun to have that access. I think now that um, we'll be able to be a little bit more prepared. We're more than prepared for the
Yeah.
episode today, and um, we actually called a bit of an audible shortly before the show, and we were supposed to, I think, do the season premiere and then continue on with the Bad Batch, but I think we decided to just dedicate this episode to Mando,
The return of.
give it the attention and the love that it deserves.
Yeah.
It wasn't a long episode, 30 minutes, but there's a lot to unwrap and a lot of nice scenes and visuals. So um, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, or we can move on right away and start taking a look at what happened
Well,
in the
it
season
just felt
premiere.
good, to see the characters again, to see where Din is at, and the Armorer, and Grief Karga, and Bo Katan. So
Yeah.
that was fun. Of course, I'm forgetting our little friend Grogu, but yeah, it was just cool to see what happened, how did they progressed in the years. We didn't see that because if we speak of Bo-Katan, Grief Karga, Moto, those are all characters we haven't seen in 2 years.
Well, yeah, that's what they
We
was. I
saw
think
Mendo
we saw
in
the
the book
timeline,
of Boba Fett.
or is it John Favreau that said it's been about 2 years
Yeah.
of the gap between like where he was training with Luke for 2 years or something that they were saying.
Well, I think he meant that us, the public, haven't been with the Mendo universe for 2 years, but
Okay.
he also, he left it open. It was like, well, it's been 2 years have passed, but is it in the story or for the
Well,
public?
so I
He
think it's
left it
right, and we'll
unclear.
we'll 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 get to that. I think when I show one of my screenshots where I think it does make sense. But before we go any further, uh, don't forget. Whoops, that's the wrong side. But there are going to be spoilers, so
Yeah,
be very careful. If you haven't seen it, I'd be shocked if you're watching this if you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, please go. And also, if you want to try to catch up and you haven't watched the book of Boba Fett, you're going to be lost before watching the episode. So pause now if you haven't watched the episode, and please make sure you've seen the book of Boba Fett. I would say
at
just
least the
watch
final 3 episodes.
watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
If you're sitting down and watching us talk about Star Wars, I'm assuming that you've watched the whole thing, so you should watch
yeah.
it. But without any further ado, um, let's get going. And the episode was called the apostate or the prostate. Like I've heard many people joke around, but it's funny when you look at it. Anyone who reads fast will that's the first word that comes to mind. But
for sure.
all kidding aside, I'll let Dom start off on this. And
All right. Well, the episode begins on an unknown planet on which the armorer and her clan have relocated. Because last time they were like on the on the space city that looked like a giant ring, and she is forging an helmet for a foundling. That foundling is played by Wesley Kimmel, who, by the way, is Jimmy Kimmel's nephew,
oh, nice.
and apparently is the same actor who played the young kid, the young Tuscan in the Book of Boba Fett
Huh.
as well. So
It's good that they gave him
fun fact.
like a role, like with his face in it, like they do in like a lot of
Yeah.
other stuff. If you can go as far back as the old Ninja Turtle movies, there was one of the guys was a turtle that ended up getting a role in the sequel, and you could see his face, and it's good. I'm happy for him. It's good. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a screen I put
And
in. I thought it was very
yeah.
very interesting to see this, like the inside parts and stuff like that. A lot of the little, if you have a Black Series helmet, some of the details that you see in there that you would have never regularly seen. We know the prop doesn't have that in there,
Mm-hmm.
like the actual helmet, but it's cool to see, a little bit of the technology that there is in those helmets. So that was
Yeah,
pretty cool to have that.
the Black Series helmet now feature like more like electronic imitation inside,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. But don't expect to see that kind of circuitry when you
If
remove
you,
the antenna.
yeah, yeah, you're going to see two clips and a hollow piece of plastic, is my
Yeah,
opinion.
for sure.
Just welcome a couple guys. It's Steve from Relevant Studio, James and Damon. Welcome
All
to the
right,
show,
welcome.
and
Yeah,
feel free to let us know what you thought. Give us a score on 10 of what you thought of the episode, and we'll take a look at
yeah.
that. I'll let you continue there, Dalman.
So yeah, so the kid is about to pledge himself to the creed, um, and that's going to become his helmet. I find it quite interesting to see that the visor is wider than the normal
Yeah,
Mandalorian
he's got
helmet.
much better
It,
visibility than any other Mandalorian with that
yeah,
thing.
well, it reminds me of some old Boba Fett helmets from Hasbro.
Yeah, the toys. Yeah,
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 and Captain Rex helmet as well was like had a wider visor. So I don't know
yeah.
if it's
Ashley
a wink,
Jackson has that. My kid has that one. So
yeah, to that. But yeah, it makes sense for kids, to get the wider lens to have a better sight, I guess. So that's pretty cool. The ceremony begins, and she recites the pledge. I guess we could call it that way
it's like a
to the
baptism kind of thing, eh? Like
yeah,
it's a very interesting ritual that they have. So I
yeah.
didn't get a
And
picture of the kid's face, though. I should have probably taken that. Just now that you mentioned who it was, should have probably been a little bit more careful.
so when the ceremony is about to end, a huge crocodile-like creature erupts and attacks the Mandos.
It's like
Uh,
a crocodile
and
slash turtle or something, eh? Like it's got that big
yeah,
shell. And
the audio description on the video says like a dinosaur turtle, but to me the face looks a little bit more like a crocodile. But
yeah, especially at one point you see him like in his attack, in the midst of all the attack and stuff, he lodges onto something, and then he does that crocodile or spin, right? Like he's trying to, like, when
yeah,
the crocodile locks on and tries to rip off a limb or whatever, like it kind of did that maneuver. I'm like, geez, I'm not sure how well a turtle would have done that with the shell, but this is a shot.
true.
It was just telling Dom. I was pretty surprised, but obviously he devours, I think, a couple of the Mandos during this scene. So
Yeah, and
pretty
a
interesting.
couple also must drown in the water because some fall in the water and he puts his leg on it.
Yeah,
They get stuck in the water for quite a while. So that's another cool shot you told me about. I called it the GoPro shot, but
yeah. I called
you
the
reminded me that
John Favreau Iron Man shot that he seems to do a lot of this. You could see that a lot, like, and you were saying that as well, right? Like there's a lot of Iron Man takes, and he's
influences.
mentioned in the documentaries, right? Like what he's learned from doing the Iron Man and even the Lion King, I think, that
Yeah.
he did, right? Like he's brought a lot of that technology, and so you could see that some of it is in there. So
Yeah, even the shot that you had earlier with the armorer, forging the
yeah,
helmet, it reminded me of Tony Stark forging his Iron Man. It was like Mark One armor, so
yeah.
uh, yeah, we could see the influences. And then, well, our good friend, then the Jaren arrives and saves the day with his N1 starfighter. Uh, so he bombards the creature, and since it was you know uh, impermeable to blasters, well,
Yeah, it took a little bit more firepower to
yeah,
eliminate it. So on the chat, you have Steve gave it a 7 out of 10 because it was way too short, and yeah, I
yeah,
agree it was short.
I
I would have
agree.
expected a 40, 45 for a season premiere, but we me and Dom were a little bit spoiled. We didn't get 30 minutes. We got a little bit more
Yeah,
of
we got
a
like an hour and 10 minutes of.
yeah, something like that.
So
Was it the second one was longer, right? I think it was
it's a little bit longer. I think it's about
yeah.
43 or 44 minutes. So
And Steve woke up
it's a
at
bit
3
longer, but
a.m. to watch the like. It's not bad. I went to bed at like 1:30, well, close to one. So 2 hours later, he woke up to watch it. The good thing is, you wake up at 3. You got to watch this episode. It took about half an hour, and you can go right back into your warm bed. And James is the same thing. He gave it an 8 for the same reason. Too short, and I think that's it'll be fun to binge. Like that's the thing that sucks. Like these episodes are short. You wait a week and you get like 30 minutes, but when you want to go back and rewatch this, it's almost the length of a feature film in the end, right? Like a long
yeah,
feature film.
true.
And
And
Damon
we're
says
seeing.
that they did
Go ahead.
fantastically well with the water effects. I thought so. Yeah, true.
Hmm.
I thought that as well.
Yeah,
Considering the amount of
you're
CGI that we
right.
have in these, yeah,
Yeah, because seeing the first two episodes, we didn't get the feeling that the first one was short. But I guess next week when we see episode two and we don't get something new,
yeah.
it's like
Well,
it's gonna
maybe
be
we'll get
maybe
something
a
new. I don't
bittersweet
know.
feeling.
We don't know the timing of that, but what I think and what we had discussed is we got to be careful because watching it as a whole, the way we did, is like knowing what's coming next, and like we just have to be very careful of like not getting ahead of ourselves. So that's why I have all the screenshots here. We talk to the screenshots and stick to our what we know. So
Yeah, I think I rewatched episode one 2 times,
yeah,
but I didn't rewatch episode two
yeah, that was a good
just
trick
to
you
make
gave me.
sure that
Good.
the wires in my brain wouldn't
Yeah,
get
very good
messed up.
trick. And we almost messed up when we looked at the thing before. Just to give you a heads up for anyone that doesn't really know and things that we didn't know is like you basically sign away a lot of your
Waivers,
yeah, a lot of waivers, a lot of questions, very specific in how to watch it.
non-disclosure
Yeah, so
stuff.
it's
Yeah.
that's why we're being extremely cautious. We know it's a huge privilege to have
Hmm.
access to this, so we want to make sure that
And we
we
don't want
take
to mess it
advantage.
up,
Yeah, exactly. So I'll let you
because
continue.
I was so anxious to see the episodes. When we were signing the non-disclosures, I was like, there was like some stickers, and it was like initials, initials, initials,
And the
signatures,
two-factor security and all that stuff there that
and yeah, and I did not read a single thing. All I wanted to see was the freaking
they're
episodes.
coming to
So I
collect
was like,
Dom's kidney next week. He doesn't even know it yet, but they're coming to take
yeah,
one of his
that's it.
kidneys. He signed it
So
off. I actually read and I didn't sign that part, so it's all good.
ah, good. Okay. So yeah, but you forgot to uncheck the portion that says that you were selling your soul
Oh well,
to
that's all right.
Disney.
Worth it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
I'll let
agree.
you move on this and this and the reason why I guess didn't brings this kind of crystallized, and you want to give a bit of insight as to why it looks like that and what the
Well,
story was behind. So
it all goes back to the night of Thousand Tears, when the Empire bombarded the Sundari, the capital of Mandalore, and those bombardment, it made the ground of Mandalore crystallize. So there's like a rumor going around that the air is poisoned, and the fact that a merchant brought that back from Mandalore, it creates some doubts that maybe the air is not poisoned, and maybe the planet is not completely lost.
Which means that Din can go back and redeem himself and bathe in the water, right? As he
Yeah,
said that that's the only way to get redemption for having taken off his or
his
what's
own.
the term? Yeah, that's not redemption. What do they call it? To not
Mm,
purify, but like it's one of those things, right? Like it's like he's the only way he'll be able to I guess get redemption. Like it's the only word I could think of for having taken off his helmet and get back into the good
yeah,
graces of the Mandalorians.
it would be redeemed. Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure. So,
So we have a
y-
they take off over here, and then in this, I love watching this image. Just screams of Doug Chang
mhm.
when I see this. Like it's I know it's a modified version, but they're going through hyperspace and taking off. You see Grogu looking out into the I guess into the sky or the streams of the hyperspace, and this is the part that I questioned Dom before. I'm like, what was this? Like these kind of whales, and he was surprised I didn't remember, but he I've seen Rebels. I've watched it through once. I've watched through and even before he brought up something about the Clone Wars, which absolutely blew my mind because I have zero recollection of something, and then Dom gave me like about a 5 minute description of one of the story arcs. But now it's time. Explain what these are, what we saw over here. So
Okay, so those are the shadows of Purgils. Purgils can be described as space whales, and those whales were first seen in the Rebels animated series. And Ezra Bridger had a special link with those whales. They're not force sensitive, but they can feel force sensitive people, and maybe it's gonna pop up something in your
oh,
memory, Eric. But
wasn't like the
at
never
the
ending
very
story
end,
kind of looking like not the never ending story, but I mean, I think I remember when I watched this that I had that image in my head. It felt like the never ending story when the kid was riding on those. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of
okay,
something
well,
else,
yeah,
but
he rise one at some
yeah.
point, yeah.
Okay.
But the most important part about those whales is that uh, in the very last episode of Rebels, Ezra is on board of Grand Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer, and uh, he he successfully calls those Purgils, and they attack his Star Destroyer. And they grab him in his on the bridge of the Star Destroyer, and they jump into hyperspace, taking them away to a place we have yet to find out.
And that's where Damien
And
actually chimed in. He said, "Because this is a total hint at Thrawn Ezra, in my opinion." So yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And in season two of The Mandalorian, the episode where Ahsoka was introduced,
yeah,
at the end, she asks the intendant, "Where is Grand
yeah,
Admiral Thrawn?"
yeah, yeah.
So
That's definitely where we're heading, I guess.
she's looking for him, and that series is coming. I guess it's in the fall of this year. So they're setting the table for a lot of stuff, and the casual fan who has not watched the animated series will wonder what those space whales are. So they are slowly introducing them into the live action universe, and I guess we'll discover a lot more about those creatures and what happened to Ezra and Tron in the upcoming Ahsoka series. So they're
So
just connecting everything together right now.
yeah, it's good. I'm still learning, I guess, of this as well. So it's good that you're here, and it's good that I have these questions because I'm sure that other people will have the same questions. As James also was wondering what those things were. So here, there's another shot. I mean, earlier you have Grogu that's in the top. Anyone who's seen the trailer, a lot of people have speculation is the fact that you see him in the bubble at one point, then you see him there. It wasn't the same scene. Ends up being the same scene
Hmm.
because it seems like when he wants to go to sleep, well, he likes to cuddle. So he went down with Mando down here, and then they approached. Or we find out where they're going, the planet of Navarro, which
Yeah.
looks completely different. And this is where I'm going to circle back to what we said. 2 years makes sense to me because with the development of this, there's no way we're
Hmm.
talking about a few months or even a year. The development, I should have put a before and after shot, but I remember this arch over here is where my costume or scout troopers are waiting there to
True.
greet people, and now it just looks completely different. You can see buildings in the back. You see, you know, green like life out there and trees and whatnot. So they approach back at this little my little buddy that I just got at Galaxy's Edge, and
Yeah. So
um,
Kowakian monkeys used to be roasted on the broach
exactly. So they're they're
in
they're a lot
season one, and
happier
now they're
running
allowed to
freely
live
and
freely. Yeah.
rather than getting cooked. That was such a classic scene in the first one. I remember seeing that scene at
And seeing the other one in the cage,
yeah,
looking at
waiting,
it, it was like, well, okay, I'm next.
kind of seeing where he's headed. And I remember seeing that scene when we were at the Star Wars Celebration. It was the scene that I think that they showed us. I don't know if it was the secret scene or whatever, but they showed us two. And there was one once the cameras went off, and then everyone was trying to get up. John Favreau goes, "Wait, guys, don't go anywhere." Because you want to see something else. Everyone was freaking out, and then they showed us. I think that was a part of it. So it was actually because that's when they showed us for the first time the Camtono and the Beskar and all that stuff. So when he was
Mm,
offered the job, so walking around, I thought this was cool, like a nice matte white uh, protocol
protocol
droid.
droid. Yeah.
So anyway, very
Who
interesting.
kind of acts as a tourist guide.
Yeah,
Don't
true.
forget to visit this thing, and don't forget to visit that part, and it's pretty cool.
You know, it'd be cool. They started having these at Galaxy's Edge or something, like
Oh
walking
yeah, can
around
you
and
imagine? Wow.
but the guy would be dying at guy or girl would be dying at heat. We see
I don't want to twist
11
the knife, for you, but today, the the Mandalorian made his first appearance on
yesterday.
Batu East yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I
on
asked
Batu
my friend.
East. So
I said, because my a friend of mine was there, and he said everyone was waiting for him. They all knew he was coming out, and when he came out, he's like, you couldn't even see him. Like it was nuts. People
wow.
were just so yeah. So yeah, it's unfortunate I missed it, but you know what? We got Mandos. We got all that stuff, all that good stuff in our Legion here. So I'm used to seeing them. Um,
And I guess it won't take long until Boba and Fennec arrive on Batu
yeah,
East as well,
yeah.
in
Which
my
is
opinion.
weird, but anyway, I guess we'll see how they're going to work that into their kind of script, I guess, that they have going there. So,
Yeah, well,
uh,
you won't see Kylo and the First Order stormtroopers out at the same time
well,
as
this
Mando
yeah, the
and
same way we
Fennec
don't
and
see them when
Boba.
Ray is out, right? So, um,
Yeah.
so anyway, so to continue, we have the statue. I guess they have a tribute to IG-11, who gave
Hmm.
up his life for them to have the life that they have here. One thing you notice is there's some parts that are like kind of bronze and some parts that are kind of silver, and what we find out is that those were actually original parts that were able to salvage.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it from here.
So, you know, as you can see, the Grief Karga is very happy to see his old pal Din, and they have some catch up to do. But one of the thing I really liked about that scene, I don't know if you took a snapshot, but there are true droids holding
Turning
his
is
cape.
yeah, I don't have
That
it, but
that
yeah,
was so funny.
yeah,
It made me laugh. It was like, okay, the guy is gonna make Lando Calrissian very jealous now
yeah,
because he
with
never
his
had
capes,
droids to carry to hold his cape. So
yeah,
there's gonna be a little rivalry between Lando and Grief. But he has become the Eye Magistrate of Navarro, and he insists on the word "high" in Eye Magistrate. So he's so glad to see Dan that he offers him a parcel of a part of some sort of a land that he would be willing to give him. So
he just
uh,
retire from his life of bounty hunting and just like live the rest of his life with Grogu over there. So
yeah, and I guess it would be the easy option. And for a minute, I was like, why did he say yes? And I was like, oh yeah, the show would be done. The show would be over. So
there's also like one part that we forgot. He actually introduced uh, the child as Grogu for the first time.
Yeah, and he's
To
like, yeah,
Grief.
call it whatever you want.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the name now? Karga is like he's high magistrate because they call him
Yeah,
magistrate. He goes high magistrate every time.
yeah, yeah.
I
He
think he
insists on the
corrects
eye
him
part.
3 times. Yeah, exactly.
Even the droid who interrupts them to warn them of the presence of those pirates, he says, "Magistrate Karga." And he's like, "Hi, magistrate." He's like, "I'm tired of repeating my title." He seems kind of bored.
Damon talks
Uh,
about Grogu spitting in the chair. I thought that was pretty funny too when he was like just
oh
being a
yeah,
kid over here. Yeah, I caught him when he was actually face like forward, but yeah, he was spinning in his chair, having a little good
the
time
only
over there.
thing missing is like the wee,
Yeah, exactly.
and then he grabs some candies with the force. So
Yeah, they look like those
Grogu's
little
being
cinnamon
Grogu.
heart there candies, and
Yeah, true. I thought of the same thing. Yeah.
so yeah, the pirates interrupt a lot of fun over here the meet and greet or I guess the reunion. But now's your test. Go ahead and name every species on this.
Okay, on the right, we have a Quarren. Uh, the main guy, Vane, is a Nikto. We have a
Jeez,
Trandoshan in the back. That looks like a
that's
boss, but
about the
it's a
only one I would have
Trandoshan.
got, and I would have called the
Uh,
other one Squid Face. That's about as far as I would have got.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's a Quarren.
yeah,
There's a Clatoonian, the one that looks like well, next to the Quarren, and we have a Wickway on the left.
and
So I
that's I think
think,
he was part of the ship, right? Of Jabba's ship. I think that we had one of them
yeah, on the
uh,
barge. Yeah, there
on the
was one
barge. Ended up
on the
falling in
little skiff.
the Sarlacc,
One
I
of
think.
one of the guys that was pushing Luke Skywalker
Oh yeah,
before
yeah.
he made his little
I had
jump in
one of
the air.
those
So
figurines as a kid. That's the only reason I remember. So yeah,
okay, so
they were trying to get into what used
so
to be a
you were
bar,
trying to
but
put me in a corner, right? And
yeah,
I nailed all those species. Can I
yeah,
get a little round of applause, something?
yeah. So yeah, and here I think they were trying to get into a school, but assuming it was still the bar that it used to be, that I think he makes reference that they're the ones that ended up, I don't know, I guess financing it to get built back in the day. So he feels very entitled to going in there and drinking regardless, knowing that it's a school, and obviously caused a little bit of a gung ho kind of like what would you call it? A standoff.
uh,
A
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah. Typical Western
yeah.
standoff. A
So
duel.
and doesn't go very well. I mean, Grief ends up shooting his blast out of his hands, and typical I guess sore loser pirate fashion, they end up uh, firing at Grief and the Mando, and as you can see here, it didn't last very long. He was the only one left. Grief tells
Yeah.
him to get the hell out of town, which he does,
And
and that's
to warn his captain that
they're
they
not
won't take.
gonna yeah they're not gonna get pushed over very easily.
Yeah.
You got Grief
Steve
offering
from Relevant Studio is mentioning that when he heard the word pirate, he was expecting to see maybe
yeah
Hondo
I
or
was I
Naka.
was yeah I think two would have been cool, but
It could have been possible because he's still alive at that point. Because
well
if we
he's in
refer to
Smuggler's Run,
Batu,
right? Like
Galaxy's
in
Edge,
yeah
yeah,
exactly
he's still alive at the time of the First Order. So
yeah
he must still doing his little shady business
would
somewhere
be
else
fun to
in
have the
space.
original voice and everything, but and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it'd be fun to see him for sure.
Maybe he's gonna work with Grief. Sometimes you need to think like a pirate to get rid of pirates.
Yeah,
So maybe he'll end up with the good guys, and you'll you'll help them get rid of what's his name, Pirate King Gorian Shard. I'm
yeah,
still
which
trying to
we'll see a little bit further. I mean,
yeah,
everyone's seen the episode, but so here you have Grief trying to recruit Mando again, trying to get him to
as a
stay there
marshal.
and stay as the marshal. But obviously he
And he's like,
reminds.
well, where's Cara Dune?
Yeah. Oh well. So yeah. So let's address that real quick. So Cara Dune. I mean, everyone. I mean, if you're not familiar, due to the some of the insensitive or however you want to call it, the posts that she put,
Mm-hmm.
on social media and sticking to her guns. This had been the second time I think that she had gotten a little bit in trouble. So she got fired, obviously, and so we all thought, well, what's going to happen? Are they even going to mention her or whatever? There was no mention.
They're
I
gonna
think,
kill her off.
yeah, there was no mention in 2.5. Well, 2.5 is the Book of Boba Fett. I refer to Mando season 2.5. So
Hmm.
and they just basically mentioned that she brought in Gideon, and then that was the end of that, right? She got recruited or went off to do another job, or remember exactly what terms or what they used, but basically
Yeah, she was recruited in the elite forces, something like
yeah,
that. So she's alive. She's somewhere, and maybe in a year or two, we're gonna see the return of Cara Dune. Maybe they're gonna
maybe.
do a recast or something like that.
Yeah,
So
well, that's it. I don't think that this, a recast is out of the question. It was a very interesting and fun character that had a lot of potential. I don't think Gina Carano was a great actress in terms of
mhm.
performance in the first place. She definitely had the build and, being
And
an
the
ex
physical
MMA.
abilities,
Yeah,
she was
so that
good
was
that way.
great.
So
But I
yeah,
mean, her acting was, was all right. But I think, a little forced for, to try to get that kind of like level of person, the same way that they have, the wrestler there, Sasha Banks or Mercedes, being one of the Mandos. Like,
yeah.
they're giving people a chance and then try to attract, I guess, some other crowds by doing that. But in this scene here, we also have Grief that was trying to, or actually as a response to his recruitment. I think it was then that says, "Oh, well, why don't you just go with, hire someone from the New Republic?" And then Grief said, "Well, I don't want to be under the, I guess,
The bureaucracy.
yeah, exactly. Of they've already gone through that, and makes total sense at this point.
He wants
And
the rebel to remain
oh,
independent. Oh, well, we see the droids
there
there.
are the droids. There you go, the slave droids. So then, I guess then you got Mando that's saying that one thing he wants though is to get IG-11 back into commission, and then didn't seem to. I mean, Grief doesn't think that there's any chance of it working, but he's going to give it a shot. You could see here the silver parts or what was salvaged. You'd think there was much that was salvaged anyway, but they were able to
Hmm.
get those, and he gets to work on it, try to make it work. And when it does come back to life, well, unfortunately, he's reverted back to his original programming. I think, right? So,
I almost heard the Terminator movie music.
yeah. And the first thing, so he wakes up. All of a sudden, he sees
Terminate,
Grogu.
terminate.
Yeah, sees Grogu. Lights turn red, and he's like, has no legs, no blaster, but he's dragging himself across the floor, anything to get a hold of him. And then they ended up taking him out of commission again, once
And it's
again.
the protocol droid who pushes
Yeah,
Grief Karga's bust
yeah, using his head
to the
is the
floor.
term.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was a cheesy dad joke, maybe, but
Yeah,
talk about using your head,
yeah, that
something
was a
like
little
that. So,
cheesy. Yeah, for sure. So let you take on from these with our little old friends here. I was convinced it was Babu Freak, but apparently is
well,
not.
it's an Anzalan, which is the species of this lovely creature, and technically it could be him because Anzalan have a very long lifespan. But my theory is that if it was Babu Frick, they would have name dropped him. They would have
Yeah,
said, "Here is Babu Frick, a droid Smith, and blah blah blah." So the fact that they didn't mention his name tells me that it's not Babu. Uh, don't get me wrong, I love Babu. Already have his animatronic figure from Galaxy's Edge. I
which by
reviewed
the
it.
way
If you
wasn't
want to
easy
see
to
it,
find. Like I was when I was there. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but there was
no,
a box. Um,
yeah, a white box,
yeah, it's
white and blue.
closed. You can't even see what's in there. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
what's in here? I opened it. I'm like, ah, oh, that's where this thing is. So I just took a couple of seconds to look back to see like what he's wearing and to see if it's about the same thing that
and he
and
has
it's
like
not.
about like a dozen quotes programmed inside the animatronic, and
Yeah.
of course he has his now famous "Hey hey."
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool to sometime I catch my dad playing it with it, so it's kind of funny. So well, small species, small door, as you can see, and grief is kind of translating what the Enzolan is saying in the beginning, but at some point the Enzolan is switching to well English, which is basic in the Star Wars universe, and he continues to,
Little comedy relief there.
paraphrase
Yeah.
what he says, and it's like, yeah, I understood that,
Yeah, I got it. I got that part. Yeah.
I got it, yeah.
Little comedy
So,
relief. It was good. So
and then Grogu decides that he wants to keep one of them as a pet, so
not very
he
often you
grabs
can find
one.
something smaller than him, right? So pretty
Yeah, I
cute.
guess. So, well, at least he didn't try to eat it, right?
Yeah. See little threads on his little sleeves under his I guess big I guess I don't know smock or whatever the hell he wears there. So then we see I guess Mando
He
says, "All
takes
right,
off because, well, bottom line is that the Anzalin are not able to fix IG-11. They need some parts, and he takes off, with the hope of finding some spare parts somewhere. I thought at that moment that he was going to go to the droid bar we saw in the trailer, but he decided to make another step first, and he goes to Kalevala, which is a new planet in the Mandalorian system.
in the meantime,
And
it's pretty funny. He's showing
yeah,
Grogu when
go
he's
ahead.
in the ship. He's showing him some how to like navigate and do these things. Like I'm like it's like well, we're gonna start seeing I guess Grogu do like some Anakin Skywalker piloting and shooting down. I guess is where they're going with this. Funny enough. But then yeah, let you continue. You got the pirates that show up.
His
So you know
first words are going to be, "It's working, it's working." But as he leaves the Navarro system, he is attacked by Vane and his fellow pirates, and they engage into a pretty cool dogfight.
Yeah, great action scene here in the ship, and you can really see the potential and the mobility of Mando's new ship compared to the Razor Crest. As much as everyone
Hmm.
loved the Razor Crest, um, and it's funny you see all these people that they regret buying that toy now, and it costs so much money because it's gone. Those famous memes of like the pile of Legos, they call it like just all destroyed. Say there's the Razor Crest and all that
Yeah,
stuff, but
movie accurate Razor Crest.
yeah, exactly. So it was this was a really fun scene. So I mean, everyone's seen it. Go back and rewatch it. I mean, I've watched this episode now 3 times with having to do the screenshots, and it was awesome. And you can see Grogu here. I guess when he's in action, he's actually tied into Mando's belt there. So I guess
Yeah,
you,
and
you
at
can.
some point he's like upside down, and he has both hands in the air as if he was like in a roller coaster or something. And then we see the big ship. It's not a ship model that we have already seen before, but
No,
it reminds me a lot of the Hammerhead Corvette we saw in Rogue One. The front part, but it's not that model, but
it's
I
definitely
saw
got a
some
ship, a pirate
influences
ship
there.
looking aspect to it, right? It's definitely got that kind of the curvature, I guess, in it and everything.
Yeah,
So like when you say it's a pirate ship, yeah, I see that like automatically, right? I mean, for my opinion, for sure.
yeah, and some people who are a lot more knowledgeable with the legend stuff said that it looked like the Eclipse, the Emperor Palpatine's Star Destroyer.
Hmm.
So,
I have to go back and take a look.
yeah, I don't know much of the Legends universe, so yeah, I'm sticking with the canon for now. There's already so much stuff to know in the canon universe that yeah. So uh, our friend Darwin
Damon.
says, yeah, was the Emperor Star Destroyer. So yeah, that's
He
the
also says he's predicting that Sideshow's next toy is going to be Grogu with pet. I would not be surprised
why not?
if they
Yeah,
find a way to milk that for sure. I mean, that everything that Grogu, they're doing everything Grogu, or Baby Yoda, like the way people want to call it. So I have no problems believing that that's coming up.
yeah.
Um, so you wanna give some like it was funny. We both had our opinions of
Hmm.
what this guy looked like, right? So it was what's his name though? Like I know exactly what you're talking about in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, with the one with the tentacles.
yeah,
Yeah, I cannot remember.
not Tommy. He's got a name. If anyone remembers.
Sandy or
No. I can't
it
remember,
ends
but
with an
yeah,
eyes. Yeah,
yeah.
for
But
why? But
yeah, he's got a weird name, but like
He
Anyway,
reminded me honestly of Pizza the Hut in Spaceballs.
yeah, except it's spinach only. This pizza.
Yeah,
It's
that's
Swamp
that's
Thing.
it.
So it's a mix of Swamp Thing and critters. So it's
Yeah, true.
yeah,
Critters.
it's got a. So we get to see what this pirate looks like. I have a feeling it's not the last time
Oh,
we're gonna
of
see him
course.
as
Yeah, I
Mando.
think he's going to be a recurrent menace throughout
Yeah,
the season, and I'm sure Din's going to make fun of him at every time he has the opportunity. But yeah, that's it. The Darman is saying, yeah, this is Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah, all the way. I
yeah,
mean,
definitely feels like it. I'm trying to find Davy Jones. Is that who I'm thinking about?
that could be it. Yeah, I
No,
haven't watched Pirates of the Caribbean like for
it was bothering me so much I had
6
to go
years.
look. Yeah, it is Davy Jones, the squid face,
Okay.
the guy. Yeah, so I knew he had a name like that. Like it was like a very like it didn't sound like a kind of monsterish type name, but yeah, Davy Jones. Anyway, I digress. So Mando flies away, and we find out that he ends up coming here and points out the on the. I think it was part of the Mandalorian system. There was
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian system. That is the
yeah,
third planet we learn about from the Mandalorian system. Obviously, there is Mandalore, and there's huh, no, I forgot the name of the planet. It's
come
gonna
on,
come
Rob,
back to me
come
maybe
on.
later. Yeah, I don't know.
You
Okay,
rattled off all those species, and then you can't remember the name of a planet. I'm disappointed.
Concordia. There it is. There it is.
Oh
Concordia. I know
wow.
it was not far. So that was the planet moon where Death Watch was exiled after Duchess Satine took over Mandalore, and she had like a more of a pacifist mentality, and the Death Watch decided to exile and go to Concordia. So that's the other
God, I
planet
gotta
that
go
was.
back and watch Clone Wars and all this stuff now. It's just there's so much.
You got it.
If you haven't
You watch
watched the
that.
Clone Wars, I know that James has started watching it. You get into there's so much Mandalorian content in
Hmm.
there, which is
Yeah,
super
true.
interesting. Especially like I watched all of it and didn't have Mandalorian didn't exist the series and everything. So now to go back and have that all that context to put behind what I'm watching now. I obviously knew of Bo-Katan and stuff like that, but like to have this kind of like everyone's newfound passion for Mandalorians now to have it in the Clone Wars series is definitely worth a watch. So here we have a castle. I think he was pointing out to Grogu that pointing out
That's
the
a
castle
typical
means
Mandalorian crystal. Yeah,
yeah
castle. Sorry. So we got a fun looking, cool looking protocol droid there. Uh, Unfortunately, we never get to hear him speak, but it reminds me a little bit of an EV droid. The one that was working for Jabba, who was frying the foot of Gang droids.
yeah they had it
Uh,
upside down and branding them or whatever he
yeah, yeah.
was
Well,
yeah
that EV droid,
yeah
it
yeah
it looks like a more modern version
yeah
of those kinds of droids, but
yeah
that has yet to be confirmed, I guess. And then, well, he meets with Bo-Katan, who's getting all lazy on her throne, reminding me a little bit of how Darth Maul used to sit on
yeah
the throne, on Mandalore in the Sundari
spoiler alert
capital.
for Clone Wars
Wow.
uh,
If you
okay
haven't seen Clone Wars yet, yeah. I want to apologize for spoiling you the Clone Wars.
yeah so yeah, so I had the same impression when I see it, even like as far as like the throne of seeing Boba Fett on his throne, right? Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, so what is she? She mentioned that like she asked if he still has the dark saber, and
Yeah, he says yes, and he
yeah,
wonders where are our troops. And she says that they all left because she came back, empty-handed. And he asked about the fleet she had stolen, and well, she replies that they've scattered across the galaxy and as mercenaries now. So basically, she's a little bit pissed at Din, and
she's still resentful of the fact that he ended up getting that saber, right? And she thought she was the
yeah.
rightful, and the whole point of her wanting getting was to get that saber she didn't get.
Hmm.
and he explains to her that he wants to go back and to Mandalore, and his intentions of going there. And it's funny because like he kind of puts her in a weird spot where she's talking about whether it's poisonous or not, and believing the legends, and she's questioning his what do they call it, his kind of Mandalorians or something. It's
Yeah, his cult or his
yeah,
sect. I don't know.
yeah, but there's like a not the old timers or whatever, like, but they follow the old ways and stuff like that. And obviously, she doesn't wear the helmet. She still considers herself, but she thinks that they're kind of stuck in old traditions, and believe these kind of like legends, and all this kind of mythical stuff. And then when he says he's going back, she goes, well, it's poison. He goes, well, I thought you didn't believe in this stuff, right? Like so. I don't know why it seems like she doesn't want him to go back, or I don't know what the deal is, but
Yeah, but
very very
there's
awkward.
one thing that I found funny about the Mandalorian culture is that when in season 2 when we first met Bo-Katan, and he said that you're not real Mandalorians because you removed your helmets. They all looked at each other and said, "Well, oh, you're one of those." But
Yeah,
you know, they're laughing at him. But the Mandalorian will blindly follow anyone who has a dark saber.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean,
guess
there's little irony in
yeah.
there.
You're
It's
stuck in the
like
old ways. Like it's
you,
like, come on,
you
yeah,
cannot keep your helmet at all times. But hey, if you have the dark saber, we'll follow you through
yeah,
anything.
yeah. Definitely a weird
That
kind of flex.
that's a
So
little weird. Yeah. So every time I watch that shot, I'm thinking of the helmet. And how lucky and fortunate I have to have Katie Sackhoff sign my helmet last summer in Toronto when I went
well,
to
now
to
it's
Fan
funny because
Expo. Yeah,
I've seen the development of one of our members, in Jody, who made the costume, and it's like it's just fun to watch it and see it. And now I've seen her in person wearing it, and now the pictures is fun to have.
yeah,
What is a
mm,
newly iconic character, right? For
true.
people to enjoy at the Comic Cons and visits and whatnot, and so I'm looking
And she
forward to
was so
seeing that.
lovely when I met her in Toronto. I mean, I had a good time. It was fun, chatting with her, even though it goes so quickly. I mean, a minute, 2 minutes, three
If
minutes
all
stop. So
if all goes well, I'm supposed to go to Niagara Falls Comic Con, and Gideon's supposed to be there. So
oh, he's
I
very
know,
generous with his time as
yeah,
well.
I know you've met him. So I'm hoping that it sounds like one of those those guys that kind of cancel every once in a while. It always happens a
Yeah.
few. So I'm hoping it doesn't. I think it's the only Star Wars um, member that's going to be there. But obviously, Breaking Bad and all the other stuff he's done. But I hope
when
he
I
will
was
be there. It'd be
in
fun to meet him.
when I was in Toronto, Ashley Eckstein was supposed to be there, and the day before I left for Toronto, she announced that she was sick. I'm guessing she had COVID, and I was about to bring my limited edition lightsaber box set, to have her signed that box set, and was like, well, at least I knew she wasn't going to be there before I left, so
Yeah.
one I didn't have to pack that thing and risk chipping the box and damaging everything inside. So I'm hoping that next summer she'll be there, and maybe if we're lucky, Rosario will be there too. So can you imagine having both Ahsoka's
Yeah.
signing my box set?
Nice.
That would be epic. So yeah,
So to
I'm
wrap up the
crossing my
episode
fingers.
here, we had uh, Bo-Katan that I guess revealed where the mines were, that what he's looking for to go
Yeah,
and redeem himself, and it's beneath the civic center in the city of Sundari. And so we basically, she kind of like, all right, well, see you later, and he leaves, and that was the end of the episode. And I think like to kind of echo the sentiment of Steve and James, like that's, you're just like, what? That's it? That's all I get? Like, so again, us not to brag, but it wasn't the end for us, but for most people, that's where you had to leave off. Um, so overall, I thought it was a great opening episode. Um,
hmm
and obviously we can't say anything about the second, but I mean, on my part, what I'm
I
gonna
loved it.
say is that yeah, it's definitely, it's got continuity. It's gonna
Yeah,
continue. You get to see where it's going. and it's overall like it's a fun start to the season, very promising. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's gonna be action packed. As we said, it's a little bit longer than episode one, so uh, another good another good thing. So yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see it, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So I guess that we're gonna wrap up for tonight. Um, unless you have something else to add.
no, I mean, do you
But
want to let us know what's going on tomorrow and
yeah,
what's
so
releasing?
tomorrow's review will be about artisanal kyber crystals that I bought from Crafted Cores, and they look just great. I mean, if you have a Savage Workshop lightsaber, uh, it's gonna make the Galaxy's Edge kyber crystal look very pale compared to those ones, because one of the main features is that they are dual sided. So you put it on one side, your blade will light up a certain color. You flip it over, and your blade will light up another color. And it also has the different quotes from different characters. And some of them, you have the sculpt of some character's face inside of it. So
So what are these crystals? So that was my question because I was looking online. I saw a bunch of this stuff, and like these are crystals that people are making that are
yeah,
somehow compatible with those and will activate
yeah, because
voices. Okay,
inside Galaxy's Edge crystals, there's like a RFID chip inside.
okay.
So Crafted Cores bought some resin, bought some RFID chips, and they programmed it to get the voices of
Oh,
those characters. I'm saying Crafted Cores, but there are so many kyber crystal makers. It kind of exploded.
and the
They
chip is
were
what
among the
also
first.
activates the color in your Savvy's
in
workshop.
in the blade, and in the holocron it triggers the character inside the
Okay.
holocron.
Huh.
So that's how it all works. So
And I'm
uh
excited to go to your place on Sunday and get my
yeah,
the ones that I got Nico Prank to get for me. So more kyber crystals and put with my Camtono that I got the additional parts for. Yeah, you got me into this whole credits thing now too. So it's can't wait.
sorry.
Nah, it's all right. It's gonna cost a lot of money. Like I was tempted to ask Nico to buy me more credits, but I've seen some online. There's a bunch of people that do this. Obviously, go to like Galaxy's Edge and get you stuff. So I don't know. Get someone to pick me up some more credits and start filling up my
Yeah,
little
well,
bucket
you
there.
bought three of the five different kind of credits.
It's not a lot though, because
uh,
I split them with my kids a little bit too, right? So it's like
oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. But I also want like I'm gonna put some best car with my new 3D printer. Eventually print some of those
Hmm.
up, and so looking forward to that.
All right, well,
All
that
right,
sounds cool.
that's good. So if
So
there's
hey
nothing
guys, if you
else,
enjoyed the show, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and smash that like button. It will go a long ways in helping us with the channel. We'll be there next week for sure. And next week it's going to be a little longer show, because we'll cover the episode 2 of Mando, but we'll also cover the last two episodes of the Bad Batch show. This week's episode and next week's episode will be covered as well. So maybe it's going to last like an hour and a half, but it's gonna be pretty fun. So, and maybe by then, Eric will have learned what is a Zilla Beast. So I'll send him the number of the episodes and the seasons, so I can maybe binge watch those specific episodes, and he'll be ready to talk
yeah,
about the Zilla Beast next week.
sounds good. You'll get to test me the same way I put you on the spot this week. So
Yeah, for sure.
all right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.
All right, see you.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.